Wow, look at that nice house, guys. Isn't that amazing? Those people must be in debt to the tune of like $1 million. Look at that. Just a nice house right here by the creek and the canal here. They must be in debt to the tune of like $1 million. You know what that means? To the tune of? Well, that's a phrase in English that we use to talk about numbers. It means to the extent of. Okay, so, you know, if they're normal people, if they have a normal job, you're making, let's say, $50,000 a year, and the house is like $1 million. I mean, some of these houses here, I'm sure they're at least $1 million. They're huge, and they're like right here by the canal. Like, God, look at that thing. It must be like a 5-6 bedroom house. A lot of these houses have really nice backyards with, like, see that one? There's like a slide. They've got a swimming pool in their backyard, guys. Look at that. They've got a swimming pool in their backyard with a slide there. Man, like, these people are probably rich, so they're not making $50,000 a year. But let's imagine they were making like a normal amount of money, like, I don't know, let's say $50,000-$60,000 a year here in Canada. Well, they must be in debt. If that is the case, they would be in debt to the tune of like $1 million. Because where would they get the money from? They have to go to the bank and borrow the money from the bank, right? So they would be in debt to the tune of $1 million. That means they would be in debt to the extent of $1 million. Okay, now we usually use this phrase to talk about money, but it could be some other number too. It could be like a percentage. For example, we could say Canada's population is increasing to the tune of 5% every year. I just made that example up. I don't know how fast Canada's population is increasing. Is it increasing? Or is it no, it's increasing. We're over 40 million now. So I don't know. I just made that number up. You could say, you know, you could say my country's population is increasing to the tune of, you know, 20% per year, or our company's profits are increasing to the tune of, you know, here's some nice Canada geese over there, guys. Isn't this beautiful? It's so peaceful here, man. These nice yellow colors in the leaves coming out. I really like this. So what is the tune of increase? How would I ask that in a question? We don't really use this in a question. I was going to ask you to what is your income increasing every year, or is it decreasing? Hope it's not decreasing, guys. So, you know, you could say my income is increasing to the tune of, you know, 5% per year. Now, usually we use this phrase to talk about big things. Okay, it means like to the extent of. Okay, so we're not if you let's say you bought a new pair of socks, and the new pair of socks was $5. You're not going to say, I bought a new pair of socks to the tune of $5. No, we usually use this for like $1 million, like for big numbers. Maybe we're talking about the government, something like you could say the Canadian government gave money to developing countries last year to the tune of $1 billion, something like that. You could make some sense. I don't know how much we give away. Canada has problems here at home, guys. We need to my idea is, first we fix the problems here in Canada, and then we send the money overseas, not in the reverse order. You know, I mean, we have it, this is a very nice country here, guys. Like, I think the oh, here's another example I could throw out. Okay, like I could say the government subsidizes low-income housing to the tune of 50%. Okay, now what does that sentence mean? I'm just making up examples. I'm not saying real things, okay? The government subsidizes low-income housing to the tune of 50%. Now, what does that sentence mean? Well, low-income housing is government funded housing where, you know, where people who are low income can get a kind of cheaper living. They can stay alive and have kind of a decent life even though they're poor. So the government pays part of their living costs. Okay, so here in Alberta, to be low income, you're making under $22,000 a year. Okay, so none of these people here, I mean, you can see these people have massive houses, okay? So none of these people are low income. I have no idea how much these people make. Maybe like $100,000 a year, 3, 5, I don't know. I have no idea. They're rich, okay? But it's just a woman coming with her dog. Just gonna go off on the path, go off the beaten path here onto this rock. All right, so whoa. I need to keep my balance on this rock. So if a person is low income here in Alberta and they're making, let's say, $18,000 a year or $20,000 a year, they can apply, I think, for government subsidized housing, maybe where they live in a certain place and they can live there for pretty cheap, and the government pays for part of it, and let's maybe say half or something like that. Okay, so when the government pays for something, that's called a subsidy. Okay, that's, the government is subsidizing. That means they're paying for part of the, you know, the person's rent, let's say. Like, let's say you live in a, like, normal rent prices here in Calgary or Alberta here are astronomical. I mean, astronomical means crazy high. Okay, so I mean, to rent a small little apartment, you're looking at like $2,000 a month. You know, that's maybe with utilities. If you just have the bare bones, like a 1-bedroom, tiny little place, you might get it for $1,600, $1,700. But probably after utilities and internet and everything, it's going to be over $2,000. So that's how high it is. So if you just think, okay, $2,000 a month is $24,000 per year. So already just on your rent, you cannot be low income. If you were low income, guys, let's keep walking here. If you were a low income person, you wouldn't even be able to afford the cheapest of places. I mean, even if you share a condo, like a one-bed, let's say you rent a 1-bedroom condo and you share it with 2 or 3 people. Okay, you're all packed in there like sardines in a can. Have you ever eaten sardines out of a can? You open the can of sardines, they're all just packed. You've got 3 or 4 little fish. Sardines are fish, right? You got a whole bunch of sardines packed into the can. So if something is like sardines, packed like sardines, it means it's packed really tight. So imagine you have like 3 or 4 people living in a 1-bedroom condo. It'd be like sardines, right? You'd be like sardines in a can. Okay, so you're still looking at like your rent would be like probably $600 or $700 a month. So how can a person afford to live if they're low income. They need some help from the government, right? So that's why the government has these buildings. I've been in some in Calgary, like close to downtown Calgary, that are government subsidized housing. So yeah, so that's what that means. Okay, so you could say, make a sentence like, the government subsidizes, you know, housing to the tune of 50%. So that we're using that phrase, to the tune of, because it's maybe it's pretty high. Maybe we're trying to say it's to the extent of. It's a duck just quacking away. Just flying the length of the canal, just quacking up a storm, guys. Ducks these days. Anyway, guys, so that's what that phrase means, to the tune of. It means we're talking about a number, usually a big number, a significant number, maybe something that's kind of noteworthy. Okay, if something is noteworthy, that means it's important. You know, it's interesting. Because if I say Canada's population is increasing by 1% per year, you could say, you know, to the tune of 1%. But just remember, we usually use this phrase for big numbers, or numbers that are kind of like surprising in some way. So maybe you could say, my company made a donation to the food bank to the tune of 500 cans of beans, right? 500. If you, let's say your company wants to help out the local food bank or something, and your company goes to the store and buys like 100 cans or 500 cans of beans, okay, and you donate them to the food bank. You could say, my company made a donation to the tune of 500 cans of beans, right? That's a number. Remember, you use this for a number, whether it's a percentage, whether it's half, right? Half is a percentage, whether it's like 100 cans of beans, whether it's $1 million, whatever currency, whatever it is, it needs to be a number, okay? So guys, that's it for today. Look at that beautiful sky. Got some clouds and the sun kind of poking through the clouds there. Man, look at those houses over there. Oh, those rich people. Guys, wouldn't it be nice to live in a house like that? I wouldn't use the whole space. I'd just sleep in the corner of the room and just sleep in one room, and the whole house would be empty. But it'd be kind of nice to live in a big house like that, eh? That'd be great. Maybe one day. How about you? Do you live in a house, or do you live in a condo, or I don't know, wherever? Let me know what your living conditions are like, and give me an example of something that you can think of with this phrase, to the tune of. Write your example down there in the comments. And as always, guys, I love you so much. God bless you today. Look at this beautiful world, guys. That is amazing. Hope you're doing amazing. And hope you're staying safe, healthy, happy, the whole works. And as always, I'll see you over in the next episode of Mad English TV. Take care.